Hello, hello, hello. I hope everyone is doing great. I decided to jump on just a little bit early, a few minutes early anyway, because I was just sitting here. So it's like, okay, I'll just start the live a little early. There are some people that I've already have comments from, so I want to definitely say hi to them. Hi, Bob, if you're still watching. I appreciate your comments, which I'm trying to get onto the screen so that you guys can everyone can see, because I kind of go over this each and every time I go live for the Q&A, but we stream it in two different places. So we stream it on Facebook and we stream it on YouTube. So if you're watching from YouTube, you're only going to see the comments from YouTube. If you watch it on Facebook, you're only going to see the comments on Facebook. So I get them fed into one feed using StreamYard. So I try to put them up on the screen. Good evening, Larry. Good to see you. But sometimes it doesn't work very well. Okay. Hi, Juliet. How are you? Hi, Melinda. How are you? Hi, Debbie. Hi, Liz. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Elise. Hi, Roberta. Good morning, John. I heard you are not feeling a little bit under the weather, so I hope you're feeling a little better. Hi, Raven. I can't, oh my gosh. I don't know if I think it's me. I think it's this mouse, but anyway. Hi, Raven. Hi, Buffy. Hi, Shopper Girl. Okay, so Shopper Girl is new here. What's my channel about? My YouTube channel is about cooking, basically cooking in different appliances, but with a very strong concentration on pressure cooking and air frying using Ninja Foodie appliances mostly, but not all the time. So I do some candy and stuff like that, and I do some baked goods and do some other things. But primarily the Ninja Foodie pressure cooker and air crisper is kind of my thing. So that's what the channel's about. This is a Q&A for people to ask questions. It doesn't have to be about the Ninja Foodie. It can be about cooking. It can be really about anything. As long as it's an appropriate question, I'm happy to answer it. Hey, Linda, how are you? Hi, Deborah. Hi, Larry. Hi, Joe. Oh, good. You're going to eat the pot roast. I hope you like it. Hi, Carla. Oh, that's funny. Carla says she doesn't even know if her oven works because she uses her Foodie so much. My oven does not work. Well, okay, let me clear that up. My oven here in where I am right now, which is at work, which is the studio kitchen, does work because it's new. But at my house and where I cooked and filmed all my videos for years and years, my oven doesn't work. We had a like a lightning storm and it didn't work, and it just I've never used it, but I do use the oven here from time to time. Hello, how are you? Hi, Carmen. Hi, Sheila. Welcome. Hi, Donna. Hi, Dorothy. Hi, Dustin Time. How are you? Hi, Faith. I know people get a little irritated because I say hi for a while, but I mean, you guys showed up live and I want to say hi. Hi, Colleen. Glad to see you. Hi, Patrick. I think I went over some of these already. Hi, Susan. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Ricky Lou. Let's see. Hi, Sharon. Welcome. Tonight is our Q&A. So that's basically I sit here and answer questions. So you guys can feel free to ask me anything you want. And if I know the answer, I will answer it. If I don't, I will invite you to send me an email and I will find out. Hi, Craig. Hi, Jenny. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. How can I not pronounce this name? This is ridiculous. Jeannie? I want to say Janine because I have a friend named Janine, but that's Jeannie, right? Okay. Well, if I'm wrong, you let me know. Hi, Alice. How are you? All right. So let's get into it. Hi, Diane. Hi, Rob. Hi, Sue. Hi, Woman of World. Hi, Newbie Nicole. How are you? Hi, Roberta. Pasita, how are you? All right. So we've got a question. Okay. So Buffy says, can you use the same batter for air fried pickles for the blooming onion? I think, didn't I just get a message from you? I think I might have on my website. Okay. So this is the thing with a blooming onion. And it's so funny because I was just scheduling out to revisit testing the recipe. Probably about a year and a half or 2 years ago, I started testing a recipe for air fryer blooming onion. The issue was the onion wasn't cooked correctly. I did get the batter okay. Of course, I didn't write anything down because that's just me. I think I'm going to remember. But of course, 2 years later, I don't remember. I'm thinking it's similar to my onion ring batter, but I really don't remember. Now, the fried pickle batter is similar as well, but pickles are a wetter ingredient. So I think I did those a little bit different, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I think I did toss the onion rings in flour, but I can't remember off the top of my head. The important thing to know about a blooming onion is they're difficult to do in an air fryer, okay? I see all the pictures that you guys see. I see all the recipes that you guys see, and I'm not doubting that they got the results or that those are accurate pictures. I'm not saying that, but I, for the life of me, do not know how they're doing it because they look deep fried, they look delicious, and according to them, they're perfectly cooked. That has not been my experience. I found it very difficult to do. And almost not worth it, to be honest with you. But I am going to revisit that because I get so many questions about it. So if I'm not able to perfect a recipe that I think is worthy of putting out, then I think I'm going to move on to maybe doing onion petals, which is just a different variation of an onion ring. And those are going to be a little bit easier to get crispy all the way around. The problem with the bloomin' onion that I found is it was impossible to get everything crispy, like where the batter goes down deep into the onion. No matter how spread apart it was, it just didn't work. The bottom was soggy, the onion was undercooked, and it just wasn't enjoyable. It just was not enjoyable. Like my thoughts are, if you're going to take the time to make a blooming onion at home, it should be as good or better than what you're used to in a restaurant. So whether you're an Outback fan or I think Texas Roadhouse does a different variation of the blooming onion, but basically it should be that delicious. And if it's not, then it's really not worth doing at home, right? If it's not going to stand up to what you're used to. Okay, so that's my answer on that one. Hi, Miss Sheila. Welcome. Love you too. And that goes for everybody. I appreciate you guys so much. Shopper Girl. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I just filmed a ground beef. Yeah, ground beef. I keep saying hamburger. It's not hamburger, but ground beef vegetable soup. I just filmed that today. And I also turned it into something else at the end. So, like, if you have a big batch of soup and you just want to change the flavor profile, that video will be out in a couple weeks. And I completely changed the soup to like a totally different thing, but the same ingredients. So it was already cooked. It took like 5 minutes to change it. It was pretty cool. That was a last minute addition to the video that I added. Jeff's like, I thought you said this was going to be an 8-minute video. He's like, you do that, it's going to be a 4-minute video. I mean, a 12-minute video or more. And I was like, let's do it. Whatever. People can turn it off if they don't want to watch it. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Hi, Ashley. How are you? I hope you enjoyed your spaghetti. All right. Colleen says, my 14-in-1 pot has some scratches. Thinking about replacing it with a stainless steel one. Do you like them? Does food stick? Okay. So food sticks to stainless when it's not heated correctly. That's true about frying pans and all that kind of stuff. It sticks definitely more than the nonstick ceramic, but you shouldn't have a problem as long as like if you're going to saute something, like let's say you're going to, just for simplicity's sake, if you're going to sear in the inner pot, like I'm trying to think of something that I would sear in the inner pot that would stick. Oh gosh, this is so hard for me to think of off the top of my head. A hamburger, let's just say a hamburger. Okay, let's say it might stick. If you preheat it well enough and you let it sit on that one side, it's going to be fine. I love cooking with stainless. Now, the stainless steel pots that are available aftermarket are fine. They work fine. I don't support them anymore just because I don't support the company practices and some of the things that they did through Amazon. And I don't use it and I don't promote it, but they work just fine. A lot of people love them. Um, and they don't scratch like the stain, I mean, like the ceramic. So that, there is an advantage to it. I don't cook with them. One thing to know is that they heat differently than a ceramic pot. So if you are doing something, like let's say I might use high sear saute to make caramel. Well, if you're using a stainless steel pot, you might want to bump that down some to like medium high, something like that, because they do conduct heat more efficiently, or I guess quicker, hotter. I don't know if it's really hotter, but it does. They transfer heat differently. So you want to kind of lower your temperature just a little bit. But for like pressure cooking and stuff, I think everything's pretty much the same. You are more likely to get the what's called the water notice on the Ninja Foodie. So just make sure that when you're sauteing like your ground beef or whatever, if you're going to make a spaghetti with ground beef, just make sure you deglaze that pot really well and scrape the bottom to get anything off of it, because it is more likely to kind of burn on there and then trigger that water notice than the ceramic pot. All right, Larry, I'm so glad you asked this. I did get your email. Larry wants to know, what is my best suggestion for jasmine rice on the one lid, which is the 701 is what he has, which is the Ninja Foodie pressure cooker, but it's the one lid model. And it doesn't matter. My answer is going to be the same no matter what kind of pressure cooker you have. I recommend doing pot and pot for rice, to get like the perfect consistency. That's where I've had the best luck. When you put your rice directly into the inner pot, I mean, it works. You can do it for sure. And if you've got a technique that works perfectly, please share. But for me, I just it makes the rice a little too mushy, and that's because it's directly in that super heated water during pressure cook time. Whereas if you put it pot and pot, so you put, let's say, one cup of jasmine rice that you rinsed. And the reason why you would rinse it is because you don't want it too sticky. Like if you don't mind it being a stickier consistency, you can skip the rinsing, but that gets all of the I think it's like talc, not talc, like not like body powder or anything, but like rinses off some of the starch and stuff like that. Um, so it's not as clumpy. But I do a 1-to-1 ratio. Sometimes pot and pot, I'll do 1 to 1 1/4, meaning 1 cup of rice to 1 1/4 cups of water. If I'm doing pot and pot, put it into a pan, put it on the rack, cover it or uncover it. It really doesn't make any difference. Put a cup of water in the inner pot, and I pressure cook for 2 minutes with a 10-minute natural release. That's what works out really well for me. If you don't want to have that long natural release, which I kind of think is important, because like I've talked about in previous Q and A's, think about pressure cooking as the time to pressure is you turning the stove on and starting the liquid to boil. Pressure cooking is essentially boiling, but at a higher temperature. So you can achieve a temperature of about 212 degrees on your stove, and that depends on your altitude as well. But just for sea level, it's 212 degrees. Then you start to have evaporation. Well, in the pressure cooker, because there's no way for anything to escape, it's a sealed pot, you achieve higher temperatures, probably up into the 250 range. So you're boiling at a high, and it actually isn't even boiling, but it's a high temperature cook. So I find that if you prolong that, like you do a 4-minute pressure cook with like a 5-minute natural release, I find that the rice is overcooked. For me, it might be perfect for you. But I would start with 2 minutes with a 10-minute natural release, Larry. See how that works for you. If it's underdone, then next time you're probably going to want to go to 3 minutes of a pressure cook time. And it doesn't really matter how much rice you make, although your pot will decide, your pan, when you're doing pot and pot cooking, will determine how much you can, put in. Remember, it's going to fluff up too. But it doesn't really matter. I do it. I've even done, I think, up to 1.5, maybe even 2 cups of rice, and I still use the same time. Okay. So it won't matter. And now the deeper you get, there are little nuances that go along with it. Like the deeper it is, the less heat transfer happens. So if you get to a lot of rice, you're going to need longer pressure cook time, but you're not going to probably do that pot and pot. All right. I hope that answered your question. If not, you can ask me some more. Ursula, I want to know how to cook a steak in the Foodie. Okay. So there are many different cuts of steak, and they all are a little bit different. Like, for example, a ribeye, I really like to air fry it because a ribeye is a fattier cut, and I like to get that fat kind of rendered and crisped up as much as possible. So I air fry it on a high degree. Usually, I'm trying to think of my timing. Oh gosh, because I kind of just throw it in and do it. I do have a recipe for frozen steak, and I think that was that 10 minutes per side? So I would probably say maybe 6 minutes per side for medium rare to rare. And again, that'll change depending on how you like your steak. For a fillet, it depends on the thickness, how long you're going to go. I usually cook steak at a high temperature in the Ninja Foodie. And you could use air fry for that, or you could use bake roast. It really wouldn't matter. Or boil is another good option. That's a higher temperature setting but a lower fan speed than air crisp. So that would work fine. So there's really no one way or wrong way to do it. It depends a little bit on the cut, but mostly on the thickness, and the fat content will make a difference. If it's fatty, definitely go air fry so you can try to crisp that fat up. All right. I'm happy to answer that more in depth if you want to tell me exactly what kind of steak you're cooking. All right. Craig, Louise, the tips on cooking hamburgers from your last premiere. I've done them 4 times since and have the best burgers the best every time. Okay, burgers. I see what you're saying. Well, that's wonderful. I'm so happy. I never even wrote that post up. I wasn't feeling well, and I never wrote that post on my blog. I've got to get that up on the website for people who like to look at the recipes. Um, that's funny. Reminds me of Romper Room when I'm saying hi to everybody. I know. I know. That's funny. Hi, Linda. How are you? And there I go. I'm going to say hi. Hi, Crispy Bacon. I love that. I love that name. Hi, Norma. Hi, Greg. Hi, Terry. How are you? Okay, this one I get a lot too. The best way to clean the top of the Ninja Foodie, and I'm sure you're talking about the air fryer lid. This is like if I had some magic like solution, I'd be famous, right? Some people take it apart. I'm not going to say you can't do that. You can if you want. I don't. I never have, and I've never had a malfunction Foodie except for one of my old ones gives me a pot notice, but I've never had any error 8 messages or anything because I don't steam to clean it and I don't take it apart. I just don't. I'm not very mechanically inclined, so I know I'll never get it back together correctly. So what I do is I use a brush, and the brush has a little like loop on the end. And I don't even know where it is here, or I would show it to you. It's in my Amazon store, which is amazon.com/shop/the salted pepper. And it's under Ninja Foodie accessories. And it's also under must-haves for the blender because I really find it very helpful to clean the blender as well. So it's like a little scooped little brush thing. It's a utility brush basically, but it gets up underneath there and it really makes it quite easy in my opinion. Now, are you going to get everything off? Not if it's built up. You're not going to. And don't stress about it because heat, there's nothing that's living there, okay? Unless for some reason you closed your air fryer lid and you had liquid in there and you left it for a week and mold formed. That can happen. Other than that, it's just, grease and stuff that kind of goes up in there. And when you put on the heat, like the to broil or air fryer, whatever, it burns anything off. So it's not like you're going to get sick from it or anything like that. I know a lot of people are worried about it catching fire. Now, maybe they cook, things a lot more that are splashing up, but I've never had that issue. I've never had it like thick coating in there or anything. So I try to keep up with it, like once a week, or if I do something that really splashes, which I don't do a whole lot, but then of course I would do it after I cooked. It's also easier to clean when the lid is slightly warm. Obviously, you don't want it to be super hot, but slightly warm. And I have gone up in there with baking soda and different things. I didn't see any difference. So I just use a brush with just warm water. Sometimes some vinegar, that will work. You can do that fine, but then rinse it, with the brush again. And then I cover the brush in a paper towel or a soft cloth, and I go up in there and I get it out. That's how I do it. Nothing, nothing too interesting. That's how I do it. Hi, Rena. How are you? Hi, Tina. How are you? Hi, Sally. Hi, Sonia. Hi, Kathy. All right. Oh, thanks, Sharon. I appreciate it. Actually, it's kind of funny on YouTube on these Q&As and my live Tasty Tuesdays. I always lose subscribers. And I mean, I'm talking about 5, 10, 15, or something like that. And that's okay. But, this only happens on Tuesdays, but some people love it. Some people don't, I guess. It's all right. Hi, Donnie. How are you? Hi, Barbara. Uh, okay, Gary. Okay, this is a thing that happens a lot. So let's talk about this. This is the baked bean recipe that I have, and it's pressure cooked. I made that recipe. Oh gosh, I can't even tell you how many times. It was a lot of times. Now, I use two different kinds of beans. I don't know if you did that, Gary, or if you just used the one kind. I think I used navy beans and small red beans in that recipe. And the small red beans do stay a little bit firmer, but they shouldn't be hard. The reason why beans are hard, and I've just researched this, and people have told me that if they're old and you don't even know it, they're old on the shelf and you don't know it because they have a shelf life of forever, basically. That's one reason why they can be hard. The other reason is adding acid in, which I think in that recipe I do add some acid in, like vinegar, I think. And people say that can cause them to stay hard. I didn't have that. Once I hit whatever the pressure cook time is, if it was 60 minutes, I'm sure that's what it was. I didn't have that issue where they were hard. Now, unfortunately, once they're done, you can't go back and pressure cook because it's too thick of a liquid. So, what I would do is simmer them a little bit longer. And if you need to, add a little bit of liquid in, whether it just be water or whatever, add that in to get a nice simmer going. And you'll have the evaporation and they'll thicken back up. But it will be really hard to go under pressure cook again. But sorry that happened. I almost pulled that recipe from my website because I would say 25% of the people have a result of hard beans, but 75% of people absolutely love the recipe and say it's perfect. So it's hard, I don't really want to pull it when the majority still has good results from it, but you are not alone. And I'm afraid it's the beans. And there's just really no way to do that. Okay, Greg, I want to pressure cook chicken with a marinade, but it might be too thick. Will a little water sacrifice the flavor? No, I don't think so, but what kind of marinade? If it's an oil-based marinade, I would probably add like a quarter cup of water. Okay, and then pressure cook that way. And that should be fine. As long if it's a real high sugar content, you may have some issues, but I think if you add a quarter cup of the marinade and a quarter cup of water. What I would do is if it was me, I would sear the chicken. But you don't have to do that. But I would probably marinate them and then sear them and then I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, you probably just want to throw them in and marinate. That's fine. Put your water in first, put your chicken breast in, and then pour the marinade on top and then pressure cook without stirring it in. So you've got that real thin liquid on the bottom. And I think that will help. I'm kind of thinking that you might um, be doing like an Italian marinade. I don't know why that's popping into my head. There's tons of marinades, but I'm just thinking Italian. I think it's going to be okay if you just use a little bit of water and it won't dilute it too much, but you don't want to use a lot of water or it will definitely dilute it. Crystal, just want to let you know I love listening to your videos so much. I've watched all of them twice or more. Really enjoy them. Oh, wow, Crystal, thank you so much. Um, Buffy, this is about the blooming onion again. I wonder if you peel the membrane off like with the onion rings. I don't know if that really had anything to do with it. It's kind of a different process. Um, I'll have to do when I cut another one. I'll have to see. I think if I remember correctly, those membranes sort of do kind of come off. All right. Question. What is your opinion on the Ninja Convection Oven, Ninja DT 201 Foodie 10-in-1 XL Pro Air Fry Digital Countertop? Okay, gotcha. I love mine. Okay. I love it. I love it. I use it all the time. However, it's not a good air fryer. So if you're looking for a large air fryer, it's not it. Okay. It just doesn't work as an air fryer too well. I mean, you can get away with it, but it's pretty much just like the oven, right? But I love mine. I use it all the time. In fact, I use it more than the regular oven, even though they're side by side. And I just use it just like a regular oven. I don't adjust times. I mean, I don't adjust temperature. Sometimes I will adjust times because it's a smaller space and things are getting done a little bit quicker because they're closer to the heat source. But yeah, I love it. All right. What do you think of the Ninja Speedy? Have you gotten a chance to use it more? Is the Foodie 701 with a thermometer a better purchase? Well, cheers, everybody. The I like the Ninja Speedy. It's right behind me. Um, I really like it. There's a drawl about it because it's square or something. I don't know. It's really cute. It's really easy to use. You don't have pressure cook, so there's no option to pressure cook. That I can find a little limiting for me, but for other people who don't enjoy pressure cooking or don't want to pressure cook, I think it's a great appliance. It does everything else other than pressure cook. And there's something else it doesn't do that I was oh, it doesn't have a yogurt function. But no worries about that because I'm going to be doing a yogurt recipe in it because you can use the sous vide to do the yogurt. So it'll be fine. Sear saute and then sous vide. So it'll be fine. But price wise, I haven't looked at the prices recently. You can get the Ninja Speedy. I think somebody told me like for $140 or something at Kohl's. So that's a pretty decent price. If you're willing to give up a little bit of room because they're smaller, it's a 6-quart instead of a 6.5-quart or an 8-quart. So it's a little bit smaller. But it's hard for me to say what a better purchase is because it really depends on your cooking style and what you want to do with it. But if you want to be able to make, the pressure cook type of meals, you're probably going to want to get the Ninja Foodie. Hi, Patty. How are you? Hi, Kathy. How are you? Hi, Arlene. How are you? Well, today's not cooking. Today is talking. So today's not Tasty Tuesday. That's next week, but today is a Q&A. So if you have any cooking questions, ask away. Hi, Mike. How are you? Sonia, I just answered that. So I think that'll suffice. Okay, MD, I do not know what buckboard bacon is, so I'd have to look that up. Let's see. Hi, Lucy. How are you? Hi, Mare. How are you? Hi, Sharon. All right, I must be way back. Okay. Hey, Trish. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I like that one too. I don't think a lot of people have made that recipe. That's kind of one that didn't really go, didn't go bonkers with people, but I do like it too. All right. Queenie, how are you? Have I ever thought about buying a freeze dryer to save your leftovers? Less food waste. Just asking. Yes, I have thought about it for years. I have looked into them for years, and I have not done it because they're so expensive. They're big. I'm not sure where I would put it, and I would want to do videos on it. And you guys do not want to see the inside of my garage, I'm sure. So it's kind of like, what would I do with it? Where would I put it? So I haven't figured it all out, but I do love the idea of it. I think it'd be great. Hi Wesley, how are you? I'd love a tomato soup for the foodie recipe. That's a good idea. I have a blender recipe for tomato soup, but I don't even think that's on my website either. I think it's just in a YouTube video. That's a good idea. A nice tomato soup where we roasted the tomatoes, maybe. Um, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm going to put that on my list. Thanks so much. All right. What's your opinion on the Ninja Convection oven? Okay, I already did that one. Am I going backwards? I don't know. I'm just trying to keep going through. Thanks for the pulled pork recipe in the Ninja Foodie, 100% a winner. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. I like that recipe too. I owned a barbecue restaurant, so like it has to be pretty good if I'm going to put out a barbecue recipe. It needs to be as good minus the smoke flavor. It has to be as good as what I'm used to. Hi, Tara. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I hope you're over your fear of the pressure cooker. It's no big deal, really, at all, once you get used to it. Roasted potatoes and carrots. Yummy, yum. Hi, Beth. How are you? Okay, so Beth wants to know about sous vide. So sous vide is basically cooking in a water bath. So you usually seal your food in, a plastic bag, like a freezer bag or a vacuum seal bag. And you could use like little canning jars and things like that as well. So anything that seals tight that won't let water in. And then you program the sous vide to the exact temperature you want to cook at. And you would go by recipes that you can find on the internet that people have tested and things like that. Because there are some differences with sous vide. Like for example, I cook my chicken breast at 145 for 90 minutes because I like that texture and it's perfectly safe. So with sous vide cooking, a lot of times you'll do lower temperatures for a longer period of time, which is pasteurizing and killing any bacteria just as much as if you do a high temperature for a short period of time. So this is all scientific based. It's not just me saying it, it's definitely a scientific thing. And when I do a recipe, I make sure I find the scientific data to make sure that it's going to be a safe recipe. So that's basically what it is in a nutshell. People have been doing it for years and years and years, but then they came out with the Sous-Vide Circulators, which I do have one. Let me grab it real quick, okay? Be right back. Okay. So this is a sous vide circulator and it plugs in and it clips onto like a large pot or some kind of a deep thing full of water. And then when it heats up and it circulates, okay? So that is what it looks like. So they're pretty like low profile. They don't take up a lot of space or anything. Now, the Ninja Foodie has sous vide functions on a lot of their models now, and not in the UK though. I don't think, and I don't think in Australia either. But in the US, they have sous vide function on a lot of them. The one thing is you can't get as precise. Like I could set this right down to the degree, and it's accurate. I think it's plus or minus 0.03 degrees, so it's not even a 1 degree variation. It is extremely accurate. The Ninja Foodie is not that accurate, but it works. And I have plenty of recipes that work each and every time, as long as your function's working properly. One of the things that I've been hearing is the 701 and the 501, 601, and 701 models, the OL series with the smart lid, are having some issues with their sous vide function being too hot. And I'm talking like 20 degrees too hot or way too low, like 20 degrees lower than it should be. That is a problem, especially when you're doing things like chicken, things that you really need to make sure you're pasteurizing them. So like if you're pasteurizing eggs, or you need to kill bacteria in the food to make it safe, that is a problem. So you need to make sure that you test your temperatures. But sous vide cooking is a great thing. I did not really sign up for it at first. I've had a sous vide circulator longer than I've had the Foodie. Like I've had it probably for, I don't know, 10 years. And Jeff and I would play around with it a little bit. Like I would say, all right, let's sous vide, something, let's sous vide a steak. And I have to remember, if it's going to take 90 minutes or whatever, I have to remember ahead of time. And I was really busy working at the time. Not that I'm not busy working now, but I'm working in a kitchen. So it's a little bit different. But when I was working as a nurse, I was just busy. And like, by the time I got home from work, I'm like, I can't put this thing in the sous vide for 90 minutes, it'll be midnight. So we just didn't do a lot of it. But now that I'm using it more and more, I love it. I think it's great. Absolutely wonderful. All right. Hi, Louise. I'm in England. Just upgraded my Ninja Foodie 1 lid. You give the most amazing advice. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that so much. With fried onion petals, what type of onion would you recommend? I always recommend when you're doing like onion petals or onion rings or blooming onion to use a large sweet onion. That's what I recommend. I think they give the best flavor. Hi, Joyce. Okay, so ketchup recipe. I've never made ketchup from scratch that I was happy with. So I'm kind of not going to be able to help you too much. Although that would be a great recipe for a cold and hot blender. The one thing about if you're using fresh tomatoes is that you're really going to have to reduce them down quite a bit. So you'd have to really like simmer them for a long time. But I can't really help. Hopefully somebody else can. All right. Linda wants to know, do I use her like the flip toaster? I don't have the toaster. I don't eat enough bread or anything to really justify that. And I don't really, if I do want to do bread, I do it in my XL oven. So yeah, I don't have it. Sorry, I can't help you there. Oh, Larry, don't worry about misspelled words. Okay. Kathy Bird wants to know, what is the difference when cooking wild rice or brown rice from cooking white rice? The time and the water. Okay. Now, wild rice depends on if you get a wild rice blend or if you get all wild rice. Okay. There is a difference. But brown rice definitely needs a little bit more water and more time. So probably, and I haven't tested this yet. It is on my list to do because I want to do a whole rice video, like a whole tutorial blog post on rice, because I think there's just so much misinformation out there and people are like getting upset and rightfully so because they're ruining their food. And it happened in one of my recipes because I called for jasmine rice, but I didn't say jasmine white rice because number one, I didn't know there was a jasmine brown rice. I had no idea. But most of the time when you refer to jasmine rice, it's the white rice. And the recipe did not turn out because she used jasmine brown rice. She was very angry with me too. I mean, she was very mad that I did not specify. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know there was such a thing, but there is. So I think, I'm trying to remember, I want to say brown rice is 10 minutes of pressure cook time, but that might be off a little bit. So don't quote me, but definitely it's the time. And then you need more water. So probably with brown rice, I would probably do one cup of brown rice to 1.5 cups of water, probably. But again, don't quote me because I have not tested this out yet. All right. Joyce, has the Ninja Wood Fire started to ship? I believe so because a friend of mine ordered it, or maybe she just went and bought it. I'm not sure. I think she might have went on an impulse and bought it somewhere, but I'll have to ask her. I can send her a message. Let me send her a message and find out. But I think so. I think they're shipping. I don't know. I'm not buying it. So but she's coming to visit me, so I'm going to work with it. Let me ask her. So let's see. I would look at Cooking with CJ. His YouTube channel, he just did a brisket. I kind of that really. I'm not. I'm. This is not against CJ in any way, shape, or form, but it really turned me off to the smoker because the little cup holds like I don't know, barely any smoke pellets. I mean, like you'd have to literally stand there all day if you wanted to get, a couple of hours or 2 hours of smoke or 3 hours of smoke into it. So, and there was no smoke ring in his brisket, which that doesn't really matter. That happens sometimes in a regular smoker too. But yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to fit enough food on it to make it worthwhile for me. Okay. But I am sort of a smoker snob, if you will, because I own a barbecue restaurant. So smoking was my thing. That's one reason why I don't even have a smoker now is because I can't get past using wood. And there's very few smokers that you can find that use wood because they all move to the pellets. And I'm just like, I'm a holdout. Like, I don't even want to do that. Okay, Carla, how much cooking is actually done when you pressure cook for 0 minutes, bring to pressure, and then quick release? Well, it's the time that it takes for the liquid to boil and heat. So it depends on what's in the pot. Like, for example, today, my soup recipe, which this is kind of weird because I tested the recipe and it took probably about, I don't know, 12, maybe 15 minutes to come to pressure when I tested the recipe. But this time doing the video, it took almost 30 minutes. And I think it was just because my contents were colder. And I had, I think, 6 cups of liquid in there of beef broth or stock, whatever I used. But it took a lot longer. I added more frozen vegetables though, so that, chills everything. So that time to pressure varies based on what's in the pot, but that is cook time. And you think of it as like, starting off on low and then it starts to simmer and then it comes up to boil. And then when it starts to boil, it starts to produce the steam. Then the steam has to fill the pot. The steam is what pops that pin up. Once the pin pops up, then the Ninja Foodie has some kind of a temperature regulator, I'm sure, that then tells it to switch over to pressure cook. But we don't actually pressure cook on 0 minutes. So it really depends on how much cooking is done. But there's a lot of food that will be totally cooked just fine in 0 minutes. Like I could have probably done my soup today on 0 minutes. I did a 2-minute pressure cook because that's what I did when I tested the recipe. But my time to pressure was so much more that I probably could have stopped it, right when it clicked over and just did a quick release. All right. I hope that answered the questions. Okay. All right. What are some things that you can prep ahead for the foodie? Now, are you talking about like cook ahead? Or like prep and have in your freezer and then cook in the foodie? So it's I'm not really sure which way to go with this because there's so many things that you can do. One is I just made up a whole bunch of hamburger patties and I froze them individually on parchment paper. And then once they were frozen, I put them into a bag and, I think they were like 2 or 3 high in this, probably too high in this freezer bag. And I put a piece of parchment in between them. And now anytime Jeff wants a burger, he can just go grab one out. So I consider that prepping ahead. The other thing you can do is trim up your chicken, season up your chicken ahead of time, like a chicken breast. And you can cook it from frozen, whether you want to pressure cook, whether you want to steam, whether you want to air fry. You just need to adjust your times and temperatures. So there's tons of things you can do to prep ahead. Now, if you're talking about making like large cuts of meat, this is something I've been trying to figure out how to do videos on because with the cost of food these days, I mean, I'm outraged, really. I mean, I just went to Sam's Club to do a really big run and I didn't hardly get as much meat as I normally do, and the bill is almost $600. I mean, it's really crazy. Like chicken's up $1 a pound. It's just insane. So I'm looking for the cheapest cuts of like beef and things like that I can use and make delicious. And buying in bulk, of course, cuts the price down. So like you can get a large roast. And the cut will depend, but look for something cheap, right? You can pressure cook it to a certain point and then serve it for dinner that night. But then you could put it back in the pressure cooker and pressure cook longer for shredded, for shredded tacos. Season it up differently. You could use some of the meat for shredded beef tacos. You could use some of the meat to put into a soup. So that's a different kind of prepping. So it's hard to answer that question, but there's tons of things that you can do. Hi, Pam. How are you? Hi, Mart. How are you? All right. Crispy bacon. I smile every time I say that. I've been wondering for years now with my Foodie 8-quart 401, medium low is too high for simmering and low doesn't simmer at all. Do all the models have that problem or just mine? That is so interesting that you said that. Okay. My 6.5 quarts on low will simmer. In fact, sometimes too much. But my OL series that I have now that I'm using, trying to use a little bit more because people keep asking me to please use it more. I put it on low, sear saute with my soup that I turned into a totally different soup at the end of the video. And Jeff was going to take it for work and I wanted to simmer it a little bit just to infuse the flavors more. And it like barely heated. So I was really shocked at that. Now I got to go in and do some testing on that to see what the temperature is getting up to. So there could be some variation. Unfortunately, that happens with appliances, with the run that they're in. I mean, sometimes things just aren't right. So it could, in my opinion, it's not just yours, but it's not all of them either. So that can be a little frustrating. Hi, Linda. How are you? I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, so I'm familiar with Bowie. Let's see. Pam says I cook nearly everything in my foodie. I love converting recipes. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see. I'm just going to keep going down here. Okay. All right. Newbie Nicole says, I know you've said in past videos you're not a huge fan of crock pots. However, has the new Possible Cooker changed your opinion? I watched a video over the weekend, and to me, it's basically another 8-in-1 foodie. I don't have that because I don't need it. I really, like people say all the time, do I need the Speedy? Absolutely not. Do you need the Possible Cooker? I don't see why. The Ninja Foodie does everything and it does it well. And I know people will argue with me about the slow cooker function and that it doesn't work well, but I disagree. I think it works perfect. I really do. It's the only slow cooker that I've actually enjoyed using. So I don't have the Possible Cooker. Sorry. Okay. Yes, Jessica, cooking potatoes in the air fryer, they are delicious. Yep. All right. Let's see. Dorothy. For me, regarding long grain white rice, I use pot and pot. Okay. That's good. 4 minutes pressure cook, depends on how one likes it. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Everybody likes rice a little bit differently. So definitely, yeah. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Hi, Mary. I must really be like behind. I'm like 30 minutes behind in these messages. I'm going to try to roll through them. So if I don't get to you to say hi, it's nothing personal, I promise. So Mary, yeah, I know. According to the manual, you're not supposed to take the top apart. We're talking about the crisping lid, taking it apart. And I never have, and I don't think it's necessary. But a lot of people do it. And, there's a lot of things. We're not, what is it on the, is it on pillows or something? Like, you're not supposed to cut off the little tag, but if I want to cut it off, I'll cut it off, right? So it's up to you whether you feel comfortable doing it or not. All right, okay. Lisa, how would I cook a tri-tip in the Ninja Foodie or the Ninja Foodie grill? This is going to sound so funny, but we don't have tri-tip here. And I've never cooked one. I'm going to have to do a little research because I'm not even positive I know what cut it is. Is it like sirloin? I have to look into that. I can't find it, so I've never looked into it because I know it's very popular in a lot of areas, but I just don't have them. Either way, but if you have both, I would probably use the grill for it. I think the higher temperatures will be good because I think that you kind of want to cook it to a medium rare and slice it thin against the grain. I believe it's not like a super, super tender cut, but I could be wrong about that too. Trust me, I don't know anything about tri-tip. But yeah, I would probably use the grill, use a higher temperature cook for that. All right. Somebody wants to know if there's any recipes soon. I don't think I've ever seen plantains in our grocery stores here. I live so rural. It's like it's hard to get ingredients. It really is. The other thing is I'm not a fan of plantains. I don't know. I just don't like them. Any way I've had them prepared, I just don't like them. If you have any suggestions, I'm happy to try to find some. Like when I go to Nashville, I'm happy to try it out, but I've never liked them. It's hard for me to cook a recipe that I don't like because I have to taste it, so much. Like that's why I can't do a ham and split pea soup because I can't stand the texture. All right, let's see. I'm gonna keep going. Okay. Sonia wanted to know if I had a speedy. I've already answered that. And let's see. I'm getting a lot of repeats. Um, okay, Jesse. Yeah, it's like the 3 or 4 year mark, but it's weird that it's only on Air Crisp. It's probably really going to be on all of it. And it does it say like pot? Does it just say pot, pot, pot? It's the sensor at the bottom. So there's a couple of things that can be wrong with it. One, the sensor itself could just be going bad, and that happens. It happened with mine that's like 4 years old. Or it could be the pot is a little warped. So what you can do to test that is turn on sear saute, take the pot out, use like a wooden spoon or something like that, press down on the center sensor at the bottom and hold it there and see if you still get the pot warning. Okay. And if you do, then you know it's the sensor. If not, it could be the pot. I did replace my pot when it first started happening to me years ago, and it did fix it for a while. Okay. And then I think the sensor finally went up. So could be the pot warped a little bit, or it could be the sensor. But you can test it and find out. And that's an unfortunate thing of how they wear out. Okay. So, Susan, can you pressure cook or air fry dried beans? Okay, so this is a good question for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I try to put in as much education as I can in everything that I do. So, when you're talking about dry beans, you wouldn't air fry them because they're not going to cook. Because in order to become the beans that you would be able to eat, and I'm assuming you're talking about dry beans like kidney beans. If you're not, then I'm going to be totally off base with this. But you would have to use a moist cooking environment with liquid to be able to cook beans. Now, that could be done on sear saute, that could be done with pressure cook. Either way, pressure cook's going to be faster. So, yes, you can throw dry beans in. You don't have to soak them. I'll get to the comments about, I forget what it's called now, though. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to look it up. Let me look that up because I want to be able to. Is it lectin or something? Let's see. Um, Look up. Okay. So I don't soak mine. It does not bother me. I don't have any sensitivities to it. And there's plenty of studies done that the heat from the pressure cooking would inactivate any toxins that are in dried beans. And some beans are higher in the toxins than others. And this is the whole thing because a cruise ship had a bunch, I think it was a cruise ship, years and years and years and years ago, had a whole bunch of food sickness, whatever you want to call that, food poisoning. And it was because they used a crock pot to make the beans and they weren't, they were, I guess there's just too many toxins in there. Too many people were sensitive and they all got sick. But pressure cooking is different because it's a much higher temperature. So they do say to soak your beans, which that water draws out the toxins, and then change your water and then cook in a slow cooker. But in a pressure cooker, the higher heat inactivates those toxins. So it is perfectly safe. However, there are some people who find that they have some stomach upset if they do that because they're more sensitive to it. And in that case, you would want to soak them first. But you can definitely pressure cook from dry. The time the temperature won't matter. You would do them on high, okay, high pressure cook. And the time depends on the bean. But on average, 30 minutes is a good average, like for kidney beans and things like that. Depends on the texture you want them to. If you want them to come out the texture of canned beans, probably 30 to 40 minutes will be good. If you want them softer, you're going to go longer. What I would do, Susan, is look on my website, look up pressure cooked chickpeas, and also look at red beans and rice, and also look at my refried bean recipe, because those are 3 different types of beans, 3 different preparations and textures that I wanted to get, and different times. Okay. That will help. Kahlua pork, Christina, I've actually looked into that. Now, I think there's something about it. Isn't that the one that's cooked in the ground? I think. Obviously, that wouldn't happen. But I looked into that a while ago. I'll have to revisit that. Again, a lot of people like it. Hi, Stacia. How are you? Okay, this is a great question. And Jeff and I were just talking about this the other day. Bolognese is a meat sauce, I believe. Okay. Whereas spaghetti is what we call it, but it could be without meat or with meat. Or spaghetti could really just refer to the pasta part of it. But a bolognese is a meat sauce. Let me double check that. I'm going to go on to nice old Google here. Because that's what I told Jeff, and I wanted to make sure I was right. Okay, so here it is. What makes bolognese, and I might not even be saying it correctly, different than spaghetti sauce? Okay, spaghetti sauce often uses canned tomatoes as opposed to fresh ones, so the taste isn't quite as bright and fresh as a bolognese, which makes use of chopped up fresh vegetables rather than sauces from a jar or a tin. Well, that's really interesting. Now, I thought that it was the meat in it, but maybe not. I'll have to do some research on that because I think that's interesting. Mainly, I think it's what we're used to calling it. Okay, because I know a lot of people in the UK call it bolognese and they don't use fresh, they use canned. So, yeah, that's a good question though. I love those kind like trivia stuff. Like, what is this? What is that? Sharon, will I be doing more recipes for the Speedy? Yes, I will be doing recipes for the Speedy, but I'm not going to lose focus of the Ninja Foodie either. So I'm not switching. I'm not going to be, jumping over, but I do want to do a few. I think that would be good. All right. Is the better alternative. I'm not convinced Ninja is going to update their Speedy meal builder. I think they're going to capitalize on the Speedy fad, but we'll leave it in the dust. Yeah, DW, I don't know what their plans are for that. I also don't know how accurate that Speedy meal builder is. As much as it's helpful, I'm just not sure that it's going to be accurate. I mean, charts aren't very accurate because there's so many differences in what we're cooking. I mean, it can even get down to the brand. Like, I will give you an example. Jeff was traveling this past weekend. He had a training he had to do in Missouri. And when he came home, I said, well, when he was on his way home, I said, look, I'm going to make dinner for you. Whatever you want. What do you want? Well, much to my surprise, he said, I want your spaghetti. And I said, all right. So I'm going to make dinner, but I live in the middle of nowhere. So he has to go to the grocery store on his way back, So I said, all right, well, I don't have any ingredients except for like some tomato paste and the spaghetti noodles. So you're going to have to pick up everything. And he's like, okay, no problem. So he picked up things, but he didn't get the same brand that I got. And let me tell you, I thought it was horrible. Like, I threw it out. I threw my part out. I didn't eat it. I thought it was horrible. Thought it tasted horrible. And I made that spaghetti a lot, and so have other people, and it's not horrible. So what happened was the fire roasted tomatoes were a different brand, and they were funny. They tasted tinny. They just weren't good. And then he got me marinara sauce instead of, I usually use a Barilla. If I'm going to use a canned tomato sauce, I use Barilla. And I usually use the tomato basil. And he got me Arroyo's, which is a really great brand, and he got me the marinara, but it was thinner. So my stuff was real soupy. It just was. I was like, what? I mean, I was starting to get upset. I was like, do I have to like revisit this recipe that a million people have made already and love? Because mine turned out horrible. So there's so many variables that those meal builders are just pretty hard to have accurate. And so are cooking charts. That was the whole point of that one. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I know that they've been relying on a lot of user submitted, not for that meal builder. I'm not saying that because I don't know anything about that, but on their website, they have a lot of people that submit recipes to them and they put them up on their website, but you don't know if they're tested or not. You don't even know if they're any good. I don't think they test all their recipes. At least they well, I shouldn't say they don't because I don't know this for a fact, but I really don't think they test them like I do because they would still be testing the recipes. I mean, even if they started working with the Speedy 2 or 3 years ago, they'd still be testing all those recipes. All right. Hi, Evie. How are you? Oh, Evie. Hi, Evie. How are you? All right. Both times I've cooked raw thawed chicken using pressure cook with the IP Duo Crisp. Okay, it's rubbery. Yep. For one thawed breast cut up with marinade, how long should I be pressure cooking and which release? Okay, so chicken breast is one of those things I do not have a recipe for because I agree with you. It always comes out rubbery and I don't like it. I don't like the texture of it at all. What I would recommend, if you're going to cut it into pieces and it's submerged in a marinade, maybe with a little bit of liquid, like I talked about earlier, you can probably pressure cook for a minute with a full natural release. And that should work out fine, depending on the size of your chicken pieces, of course. But that's what I would do. I mean, if you could, I would even go to 0 minutes and a full natural release and see what happens. Because once you start cooking chicken, as lean as it is, at those higher temperatures, it just turns rubbery. It's really not pleasant. The other thing you can do is marinate your chicken and use the sous vide function on the IP Duo Crisp. That might work. Or marinade. My husband does this all the time. He loves the speedy marinade. So he'll marinate chicken chunks in the refrigerator, like, overnight or even sometimes 2 days. And then he takes them out, he lays them on a paper towel, blots them dry, and he air fries them. And they're delicious, really delicious. I'm not a huge fan of that marinade, but I mean, the chicken's cooked really nicely. Then he uses it to top salad with and things like that. So those are my thoughts. All right. Can someone tell me what the cocktail is? Okay, this is absolutely like nothing but Evan Williams, bourbon, and Coke. Nothing fancy. I didn't do anything today. I was really busy today, and I was just like, I'll mix this up real quick. Do I have the wood fire grill? I do not have the smoker. I do not. Okay, I see your foodie with the lid sitting in the background. I found that using a rubber lid gripper between the lids. Yes, I've seen that, Sharon. I've seen that, and I think that's a great idea. I'm just so busy. I just throw it back up there. But it is a great idea to put that on. I had a little cap for it. Like they sold them little caps, but I would always forget to take it off, and that blocked the vent on the top. So I just don't do anything now. All right. Sharon says, please consider giving cooking classes either in person or Zoom. I would love to. I would love to do that. I'm just not sure like what people would be interested in, above and beyond what the videos that I put out. And like it'd have to be, I don't know, I kind of think like small groups, but that is something that I want to look into for 2023. Hey, Carl, this is no joke. I was just thinking about you the other day. I really was. I was wondering if you've seen the low carb recipes that I've put out recently, because I know you were always wanting to make things low carb. So anyway, I was just thinking about you. It was probably yesterday. All right. Have I tried the Ninja Rapid Cooker? That's the Ninja Speedy, and I've talked about it quite a bit. Yes, I've tried it. I like it. I have a couple videos, not on YouTube yet, but for Tasty Tuesday where I used it. So yeah. Can we expect any new recipes in the future? Oh, absolutely. I'm not retiring. I put out a recipe every week. I skipped this week though. I skipped this week. I'm trying to kind of get back into doing 3 a week, but that is very challenging with all the testing and everything like that. So, probably going to settle it around 2 a week, but I'm aiming for 3. But you can always count on 1 with a few exceptions. I think I've missed a week, maybe twice, maybe only once this entire year. And that was just this past Sunday. But yeah, absolutely. Every Sunday I do a premiere on YouTube with a new recipe video. And then I try to put them out also on Wednesday and Friday if I can. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Hi, Freddie. All right. Let's see. All right, Sally, I need a reliable oven to bake cakes in. I need to bake 9 by 13 cakes. What Ninja product would you recommend? None of them. None of them are going to be big enough for you. None of them. So you're probably going to have to find if you need something that's countertop, you're probably going to need to find another oven that's a little bit bigger. Even the XL, the one that's like shorter, I think that would do a 9 by 13, but it's so small that sometimes you don't even have enough clearance for the cake to rise, and the temperature regulation would be a little bit tricky. That would be the only one though that would fit a 9 by 13, I think. Let me check. Is my XL, would it fit 9 by 13? Well, hold on a minute, okay? I'm just gonna walk off. I'm gonna grab my 9 by 13 pan and throw it in there and see if it fits, right? That's an easy way to tell you. I'll be right back. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will fit. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is the 9 by 13. Now I need to get a measuring tape because I need to find out if this is a 9 by 13. But I think it is. I can look it up. So it does not fit in the XL. So this is my 9 by 13 pan. I'm pretty sure it's 9 by 13. The reason why it doesn't fit is because of the lip here. So if you have a different cake pan that doesn't have that, it might fit. But yeah, I really think that I would look for something a little bit bigger. So I don't think a Ninja product's gonna help you there. Sorry about that. Hi, Tara. Well, that's awesome. I'm thrilled you found my page too. Okay. With the Ninja Foodie, can you use the pressure cook option for canning? Okay. Raven, this is a good question. You cannot pressure can in the Ninja Foodie. It's not approved for that, but you can hot water bath can, okay? Because hot water bath canning, which is mostly for pickles and jams and jellies and high acid foods, that you always want to use an approved canning recipe, okay? That is first and foremost because the acid matters, the pH matters, so that it's safe to hot water bath can. So you can do that in the Ninja Foodie by using the sear saute on high. Bring your water to a boil, and you can put in your canning jars, and it works just fine. I've done it a million times. The thing is, if you have the 6.5 quart, you can really only fit the small 8-ounce, I think they're 8-ounce jelly jars, or the little 4-ounce ones. So you can't fit like the big pint jars. If you have the 8 quart, I think you can fit 3. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot of room, but you can do hot water bath canning. And I have an article on that on my website. All right, good. I'm going to find out what buckboard bacon is. Pork shoulder and Morton tender quick cure for 7 days, cold smoked, then fried in the Foodie. Oh my gosh, MD, I want to make that. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I am going to be doing a homemade cured brisket for corned beef because so many people want to make that in the UK and they can't get it. Now, isn't that strange? They can't get corned beef there. The people that have asked me, like, how do I make this? Because I can't get that. All right, Queenie says, I recommend your channel to everyone. Thank you. even those that have a regular PC or air fryer, I think your recipes are great. Thanks so much for making videos and teaching us how to use the Foodie. Well, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. Hey, Barbara, how are you? All right. Let's see. All right. So DW thought, I think we already talked about this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any answers because I'm not affiliated with them at all with Ninja. So I really don't know what they're gonna do with that. I mean, I kind of feel like maybe they'll put a few more on there, but probably not something they're gonna invest a lot of time and money because the return on investment isn't great unless they're gonna try to really build that into the marketing, like that you could make anything. But again, I just don't even know how accurate they're gonna be. So okay, Jessica, I love your Ninja Foodie spaghetti recipe. Can I add more pasta? It's never enough for what the recipe calls for. Yes, absolutely. So different people, obviously, different people like their spaghetti differently. I like mine really saucy. Although I will tell you, the one that I just made the other night was horrible, but way too runny. It was gross. And yes, I used my recipe, but I went into the details of why it was bad anyway, because wrong tomatoes, marinara instead of spaghetti sauce, that which is a little thicker. So yeah, a lot of things went wrong there. But um, so you can add a pound of pasta of spaghetti noodles and not change anything to it. Okay. You don't have to change anything. People say it works out perfectly fine. No problems whatsoever. Um, oh, okay, this is a good one too. Hey, Donald, how are you? So I see a lot of posts from the UK on dehydrating beef. What's the scoop on this? So basically, what they're doing is they're using a low temperature for a long period of time, kind of like smoking, which is a dry heat, low temp, long period of time to cook the beef. Okay, to cook like roast beef. I did it. Did I do a video on it? I don't remember, but I did it. I thought it was horrible. I didn't like it at all. I would prefer doing the broil or air crisp or something to get that bark on the outside, and then I let it sit in the foodie. So my roast beef recipe, you broil it, or you could air crisp it. That would be fine too. And then you just let it sit in the hot pot for whatever 20 minutes or whatever, however long it is. So, but people they love it. They love it, and that's fine. I just didn't. I didn't. I thought it was just too much, too long of a time, and the results weren't any better than doing a high and fast cook with a lot of rest time. All right, John in Australia, Smart Lid OL650, which would probably be R601, I'm guessing. Although I think you might have extra features. I think this is kind of an interesting thing. When I was looking and doing research on the OL series for my Ninja Foodie course, I was looking at, I think they have something called steam meals on the European models, and I don't think Australia is considered European, but you know, they're the ones that are not US based and not Canada based. They are they have a couple of other features, and I think steam meals was one. And I'm wondering if that was something they were considering adding to the Ninja Foodies here in the US, or if it was just a test thing. I don't really know because I haven't heard anybody talk about steam meals from the UK or anywhere else. So I don't know. I find it interesting though. All right. I got to get through these. I'm so behind. Hi, Tara. How are you? Um, oh, good. I'm glad you're a nurse. That's awesome. And yeah, I know. Trying to eat healthy. It's hard. It takes planning. It takes planning. So what I have is different things. Like I have keto pizzas in the freezer, so we could take one out, you know, at any time and make a pizza in just minutes. So prep, I think, is a lot with eating healthy, especially if you're not used to it. Like, you know, once you get used to eating healthy, and by healthy, I guess I mean making salads and things like that. Healthy means different things to different people. For me, healthy is like cutting out some sugars and like starches and things like that. But I don't do keto, but kind of similar. And all the food kind of needs more prep, it seems. But once you get into the habit, people do it all the time and think nothing of it. Um, okay, this is a good question. They're all good questions. There's no question that isn't a good one because I find that they are recurrent. I get the same ones a lot. I sometimes get the add liquid message when cooking under pressure. So that's going to be water or add liquid. Some of them might say add liquid. I'm not sure. They change it up. So it gets even more confusing for us, right? When cooking under pressure, how do I fix it if the lid can't be removed? You have to stop the pressure cooker. You have to release the pressure and you have to open up the lid. So what you want to do is try to prevent it in the first place, obviously. And you do that by, if you are sauteing something and then moving on to pressure cook, make sure you deglaze with a thin liquid and scrape the bottom so that nothing is burnt on the bottom. That can trigger the water notice, even if there's plenty of water in the pot, okay? Or plenty of thin liquid because it doesn't have to be water. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Dixie? I know. I'm live right now, though. I got to go. I love you too. Bye-bye. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so let me back up. I'm going to get back to this liquid thing in a minute. This is Dixie, who I was asking about that smoker that we were talking about earlier. And she ordered it from Ninja and it did ship. And so they are shipping. Okay, so that answers that question. All right. Back to the pressure cook. So once you deglaze with the thin liquid, make sure you scrape. Then as long as you have the right kind of liquid in your pot, you shouldn't have any problems. The other reason why you would get the add water notice is if your liquid is too thick, because you have to have a thinner liquid that can produce steam to maintain the pressure of the pot. So even if you start out with enough and it builds the pressure and you have the steam, the steam goes up and then seals the pan and all that stuff, and you go under pressure. If during that time you start to thicken things up, like because you added a gravy packet or maybe you added cornstarch or something like that, that's going to thicken whatever thin liquid you have as it cooks, you can then start to scald the bottom, which will trigger the add water notice. Okay. It's the same as if you put milk in a pan on the stove and it starts to scorch on the bottom. That's exactly what happens because the steam, the heat, which builds the steam, which wants to break through the surface and go away into the atmosphere when we're cooking on the stove, has nowhere to go and it just can't go anywhere. So you're going to get the scalding. Well, you'll get it on the stove too if you have too high of a heat. But anyway, hope that makes sense. I do have an article on my website called Pressure Cooking 101 that I advise everybody to read because it is it's not complicated, but it is. Even for me to just talk about it off the cuff, it's a little bit more, complicated than sometimes I make it a little more confusing. But I break it down very simply on my website. I promise. I worked on that for a long time. Yes, MD, rice is a science in and of itself. Just like hard-boiled eggs. Some people can make hard-boiled eggs on the stove. I can't. I never have. The shells always make the ugliest eggs, they're cooked and everything, but it's just horrible. So, yeah, I can't do that. All right, let me move through here. Hey, Christine, how are you? Hi, sweetheart. I was just thinking about you the other day too. Okay, John's got the answer for the brown rice. Okay, 15 minutes, 10-minute natural release. But what's the water ratio, John? If you're still watching, throw that in there. DW, that's great. Doing the smart lid and the speedy. They're both touted as great machines for rice. Basically what the difference is, well, the Foodie, you could steam your rice or you could pressure cook your rice. The speedy, you can only steam the rice. So I'm not sure if I would do a side-by-side difference. But I think knowing that there's different ways, you don't have to pressure cook the rice. You can steam it in the Ninja Foodie or in the Ninja Speedy, and it works out really well. Oh, that's awesome, Adam. So he made the ribs with the raspberry glaze last night. They were super good, and made the stuffed peppers tonight. They were amazing. That is awesome. That makes me so happy. Okay, so we're back to the wood fire stove. And Jeannie says, yes, CJ's videos, half a cup of wood pellets. See, that is crazy. But Dixie, I'm hoping she gets it before she comes to visit me. She's coming, I think, in October, the end of October. So I'll play around with it, but I'm not buying one. I am going to buy a wood fired smoker if I get one, because I just can't. I'm old school with that. I got to stick with the wood. And I like to smoke with fruit woods. So like cherry wood and peach wood and things like that. I'm not a huge hickory smoke like lover. And I don't like over smoked food. So I don't like it to taste like an ashtray or something, you know? And there are some restaurants that I've been that say, oh, this is the best barbecue in the world. I'm like, oh, it tastes terrible to me, but that's my preference, right? Okay, so DW says the pellet capacity on the Ninja wood fire is on purpose. It doesn't require a lot of pellets to create the smoke. That's the benefit of saving pellets. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Um, that's interesting. I would have to taste the food to see if it's any good. And I will. I will when Dixie comes. We'll make a few things. Um, all right. Laurie. Hi, I don't have a cooking question. I have a hard time cleaning my basket. Can I use an oven cleaner? Okay. I am not sure if the oven cleaner will strip the coating off of the basket. I've never tried it. I use an oven cleaner on the grill grate, the not the grill grate, that the grill filter up in the top. I use it all the time on that, but I'm not sure about the basket. What I would recommend before you do that is I would probably put some water in the Ninja Foodie, put your basket in the Ninja Foodie, put some, well, oh, you know what somebody said? Put, like dishwashing, like a dishwashing, what are they called? I don't use those either. But you know, they're like a pod, okay? A dishwashing pod in the Ninja Foodie and pressure cook. Okay, fill it up so it's halfway up the basket. Put your little tablet in there and pressure cook it and get it really hot. And apparently that works. I haven't tried it, but apparently that works. Oh my gosh, I am telling you, I am so far behind. I'm seeing a comment about the prices at the grocery store. And I know I talked about that 45 minutes ago. But anyway, I'm going to keep going until I get through them all. So I've already been live for an hour and a half. It's crazy. All right. I'm getting a Ninja Speedy. Is it better than the Foodie? It's not better. Different, equal in ways. But I don't think it's fair to say one's better than the other. They're just a little different. But I also don't think if you have a Foodie and you wanted to add a Speedy, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's things that you can do, cook them at the same time. Okay. Oh, look, MD, I smash up pecan logs and make my own pellets. Oh. Oh, I definitely will. If you don't mind, and yeah, you can or can't, you don't have to. But if you don't mind, would you send me an email, Louise at thesaltedpepper.com, about that so I remember? I wanna look that up. Okay. All right. So how about the Ninja 2 compartment 10 quart air fryer? Now, Dorothy has the 10 quart. I know she does. I don't have the 10 quart. I think mine's the 8 quart. And I find it small. I like it. And I really like it in theory. If I was going to make meatloaf on one side and maybe bread on the other, or meatloaf and baked potatoes, or something like that. I like it, but it's big. I mean, it's bigger than the Foodie, and I don't keep it out on my counter, so I tend not to use it. But I do like it. I mean, it works great as an air fryer, but it's a basket style air fryer, and I'm not as much of a fan of those as I am the Ninja Foodie, which I think's a bigger air fryer than each one of those compartments. Now that may not be true with the 10 quart because you're adding 2 more quarts, but is it just deeper or are they wider? Because surface area matters when you're air frying because you can't really expect to have great results air frying, excuse me, if you dump in and pile. You've got to constantly be moving them around to equally crisp things up. So surface area matters. That's why I like the Ninja XL grill for air frying. That's the rectangular one because it's shallow but more surface area. And I really like that. I think it works really great. I'm sorry, I think I'm going to cough again. All right. Hi, Louise. I bought a Ninja Foodie a few months ago, used a few times. Now the pressure cooker function doesn't work. Check the seal. Seems fine. Any idea what could be wrong? That would need some more in-depth back and forth between me and you, some troubleshooting. So do me a favor and send me an email, louise@thesaltedpepper.com, or you can send me a message on Facebook if you want. There's no way to contact me through YouTube, like a direct message. So either way, you can do that, The Salted Pepper on Facebook or louise@thesaltedpepper.com. And then let's chat about troubleshooting because there's so many things. And, if the pressure cooker function doesn't work, do you mean the heating element on the bottom isn't working? If you put in water and you turn on sear saute on high, can you bring it to a boil? If so, then the heating element is working. And so there should not be any reason why the pressure cook function doesn't work. So we just need to delve into that a little bit more. That's kind of a one-on-one thing. All right. Hi, Jill. Hi, Barbara. Oh, Mary. Oh, wow. Mary was in Annapolis on Friday. Yeah, Ruth's Chris is a great restaurant there, but there's even a better one called Luna's. Oh my gosh. So if you get back to Annapolis, go to Luna's Steakhouse. It's amazing. Love that. Colleen, thank you. Tri-tip is sirloin. That's kind of what I thought. All right. Lincoln, my inner pot likes to move around when I cook in the Ninja Foodie. Do you know why that would be? Well, are you using the stainless steel aftermarket one or are you using the ceramic one? Because the stainless steel aftermarket one, it does move around more than the ceramic one. But the ceramic pot, I mean, it can move around. I don't know. I'm trying to think, like if I'm stirring, I don't have it spin. The stainless steel one sometimes would spin. So I need to know what kind of pot you're using. But I wouldn't worry about that too much unless it just bothers you. Some people put a clip, like a binder clip, to hold it in place. You could do that if you're doing sear saute and you just like stir quite a bit. You could do that. You might scratch it though, depending on the type of clip. So, all right, Sally, have I done a video on how to convert most recipes? Well, yes, in my course, I have a whole section on how to convert recipes and how to think them through because it's not as easy as just saying, how do you convert one thing? I mean, it would be impossible to convert. It could be done, but it would be impossible for me to do a video on how to convert, all recipes or even most recipes because there's just so many variables again. But for pressure cooking, converting recipes, usually you take the time down by 2/3. So usually pressure cooking is about 1/3 of the time of a different method, but that's not always the case. And that does not include time to pressure and things like that. So it's kind of hard one to do, but in my course, I do have a section on it. All right, Barbara, what do I think about the wood-fired Ninja Grill? I don't have any thoughts about it, except it uses pellets and not for very long. So, all right. I didn't mean to put that up there. Sorry about that. Let's see. Trisha wants to know what my favorite meal is to fix in the Ninja. I get this question a lot. Usually it's whatever I'm testing at that time, which what I tested the other day. Now, I love the soup that I just made today and filmed, but I love this shrimp rasta pasta. That's coming out this Sunday. Oh my gosh, is it good? It has the best flavors. I was so excited. I was so excited. Um, all right, let me see. I found that at the Ninja Kitchen website, they do have the main body of the Foodie or grill, and it's a little cheaper than buying the whole new thing. Yes, you can. Absolutely. So they have replacement like bodies, basically. Okay. So you don't need the accessories and stuff like that. You just need the basic thing. Yes, you can do that. Hi, Ramon. How are you? Um, that bag of 15 bean soup doesn't have to be soaked before cooking. No, Terry, it does not need to be soaked, but sometimes you might want to. Okay. I was like, Buffy, is this like a joke? I was looking to see, wait a minute, am I being spammed here? Because I don't think I would air fry shotgun shells. Okay. And they are either stuffed with beef or pork or mixed with cheese and wrapped with bacon. I'm not familiar with those, so that might be a recipe I need to do. How they sound kind of good. So yeah, I would air fry them. No problems whatsoever. I would definitely do that. No problems whatsoever. All right, thank you so much. I don't know who it is, but thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed the chicken nuggets. That's awesome. All right, what is the best way to make brisket as far as all the Ninja appliances go? Oh gosh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Easiest or best? Because those two things aren't always the same. Okay. What I would do, and I think this is going to be like kind of middle of the road, like it's going to be the best of both worlds. I would pressure cook the biscuit. The biscuit. I would pressure cook the brisket, and I think it's like 60 minutes with a full natural release. Um, you can look on my website because it's the same as corned beef. Okay. The only thing different is the briskets, got that added curing to it that makes the meat flavorful, a different flavor and pink. So you could follow the same recipe. Um, and then air fry until you really get that fat cap nice and crispy. And oh my gosh, it's so delicious. So delicious. That would be the way I would do it. I would pressure cook and then air crisp. That would be me. Now, another way you could do it would be a traditional way that you would make it in the oven, which would be low and slow, but that's going to be, a long cook, probably 4, 5, 6, could be even 8 hours. And you would go at the lowest setting of 250. And I don't know if the Ninja Foodie, I'm trying to remember if baked roast gets down to 250. I think it does. I think air fry is 300, but I think baked roast goes to 250. So I would prefer even going to 200, but we don't have that option on the Ninja Foodie. So 250 would be fine. And you would just do it really like low and slow. That's another way to do it. Okay. But I would probably pressure cook and then air fry. I think that's going to get it done faster and pretty. I know it's delicious because I've done it before, and it was like the best brisket in the world. And then I turned that brisket into some kind of a soup, and that was delicious. Jeff absolutely loved it. And I don't even know how I made it because I didn't write anything down because I just had an old piece of brisket in the freezer that I had to use. And now I went to buy one at Sam's Club. That's one of the things I wanted to do is buy a brisket so I can get an actual, just a plain brisket recipe. Because I've got another brisket recipe that's got cranberries and stuff. That's a holiday brisket. It's beautiful, lovely, lovely dish, but not just a traditional, like you would think of a smoked brisket that you can kind of either chop up or slice up, or you do slice that one up. But anyway, different flavor profile. Hey, Robin, how are you? I'm so glad to see you. Oh, boy. Rusty old broomstick. I love that. Hi, are there special beef heart and liver recipes that are worth making besides onions, like liver and onions? Well, okay. I've never had beef heart and I've never had beef liver. Okay. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I don't know if I could do the heart, but I've had chicken livers And so, I mean, you could batter and air fry chicken livers, and I mean, they're delicious. Fried chicken livers are delicious to me, and I like chicken livers and onions because that's what my mom used to make. Now, are there any recipes that are worth making? Probably out there in the internet land, but I don't know any because I haven't looked it up because I don't follow recipes on the internet because I create my own. But I'm gonna get my mom's liver and onion recipe, and the way that she did them was in a skillet, like a cast iron pan, and I believe she breaded and fried her chicken livers. And then she put them with this mushroom and onion gravy. Oh my gosh, so good over mashed potatoes. It was like one of my favorite foods. So I think I will probably air fry the liver, which will be chicken livers, I think. Because I think beef liver you do differently, but I'm not sure. And then I'll probably do the onion mushroom gravy with it. I know some people are going to be like, "Oh gosh, no, that's disgusting," but other people really like it. So, um, okay. So Tara's given some chicken breast advice there. Um, oh, Ben, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So we've got somebody explore all options. Okay. So I'm selling my foodie for the rapid. That settles it. Okay. All right. Um, okay. This is a good question because I think a lot of people we really should, and we call it a natural release, but that's not really what happens. Nothing releases. Okay. So, Rena, does the OL have natural release or just manual? All pressure cookers have a natural release because the natural release is doing nothing. Now, it doesn't, the OL 501 does not have the programmable release options where you can program it to release in 10 minutes or release in however long you want your timed release to be. But the natural release is literally nothing happens. So the pot's sealed, the pin is up, and even though the keep warm is on, that's a much lower temperature than what we were pressure cooking at. So literally nothing is happening except the pot's cooling down. As the pot cools down, that steam that keeps us under pressure reverts back to liquid form, goes back into our dish. Okay. And when all of that steam is turned back into liquid, that pin drops because there's nothing pushing against it anymore. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. So there is nothing releasing during natural release. Nothing's coming out of the foodie. It's just cooling down the pot so that the steam reverts back to liquid. Okay. Well, Jay, you are so welcome. I appreciate that. All right. So, old school pressure pot, other than the crisper lid, is it worth buying the Ninja one? Well, Valeria, when you say old school pressure pot, like, are you talking about old school on the stove pressure cooker? If so, I would say yes, absolutely. Getting an electric one is worth it because they're just so much easier to use. Now, excuse me. However, I'm talking too much. My throat is dry. However, if you're talking about having another electric pressure cooker and it's still working great, and then you don't need to buy another one if you don't want to. The crisping lid is, to me, a game changer. Like, I didn't even like using my pressure cooker before I got the Ninja Foodie with the lid, because a lot of food that I would make, I would want to crisp up at the end, like ribs, for example. Like, I would never pressure cook ribs and then eat them. I want them out to render the fat and get crispy. So I would always use that crisping lid. But for some electric pressure cookers, you can get what's called the Mealthy lid, which is an air fryer lid that fits on a lot of like instant pots and stuff. So you can look into that as well. Okay. Can spaghetti sauce be water canned? Raven, that's a good question. As long as it doesn't have meat in it and it follows certain guidelines, I think it can. But seriously, look at a canning recipe for that. Don't go by me. My mom was a huge canner. My sister's a huge canner. I've never been a huge canner, although I like it. Although I like the idea of it and I really want to do it more, I just have not done it. Hi, Barbecue with Neil. How are you? We do not mind you popping in. It's good to see you. Um, oh gosh. Okay. You're getting above my pay grade here. Explain what pink salt number one and pink salt number two is, which is not Himalayan pink salt. So you're talking about for corning the beef, right? Oh, we're not gonna get into that, right? All right. Yes, but there you go. Sea salt, plain salt, pickling, canning salt, iodized salt, let a mess, and then curing salt. Yes, exactly. Um, all right. I'm gonna try to get through these. Let's see. Um, all right. Look down in the chat on Facebook. Carla's got some canning information there for you guys. Okay, let's see. Well, I'm gonna throw that up there because that's like a little feather in my cap. Thank you, John. He took the course and he thinks it's a good thing. All right, wonderful. Oh, look, another one. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's so great. I don't know, about 15. I'm going to be doing a few more, a lot more actually for the OL series. So, all right, let's see. Hey, Brittany, how are you? Welcome. I'm still running my mouth. It's 8:40. I've got to get off here soon. But I'm trying to get everything done. Okay, back to the brown rice. We've got 1 1/4 cups rice to 1 1/2 cups water. Okay, all right. That's a little bit less than I thought it would be. So that's good. Okay, let's see. Hey, Sherry, how are you? Hey, Gary, good to see you. Oh my gosh, I know we're way back. Yeah, I made that comment a while where I experiment with something, turns out perfectly, and I didn't write anything down. I think I'll remember, but I never do. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, let's see. All right, Stephanie, some diabetic friendly. Well, a lot of diabetic friendly recipes are just basic recipes. You just kind of want to watch the starches sometimes and the sugars. But like any of my low carb recipes and any of the meat recipes and things like that, unless the marinade or the sauce has got a lot of sugar in it or a lot of carbs, it should be fine. Um, let's see. Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate that. Do I make my own plum sauce for egg rolls? I can honestly say I've never made plum sauce for egg rolls, but I don't use plum sauce for egg rolls. When I get egg rolls from the restaurant, not if I make them, I'm trying to think, what do I dip them in? I don't even remember. I must make something up on the fly because I can't really remember. But I use one of those hot mustard packets and one of the duck sauce packets, and I mix that together, and that's my dipping sauce for egg rolls. So I've never used plum sauce and I've never made it. Um, I'm sure it's delicious though. Okay, this is a good question, Sharon. I've got a recipe for it too. So yes, you can make a pot roast in the Ninja Grill with potatoes and carrots on the bake setting. I have a recipe on my website for that. The only thing you need to know is that if you're using the XL grill, which is shallower, you're going to need to add more liquid because the deeper pot doesn't evaporate as quickly as because of the surface area. It doesn't evaporate as quickly as the larger one, the rectangular one. So and I made the recipe a long time ago when I was using the square one. But yes, you can definitely do that. Let's see. Oh, great, Kathy. I'm so glad. And I will be emailing everybody that's in the course so that I can tell you what new videos are out and all that stuff. Because we're gonna have a lot of cooking videos coming in there for the OL series, with some of the different features and everything. All right. I think I am at the end here. Hi, Joy. How are you? Um, Yeah. Mary, I didn't realize that you lived in Maryland. Did I? Did I know that? Not even sure. Anyway, okay, guys. I've been live for an hour and 45 minutes. Any last minute questions before I bid you good night or good morning or good day and a farewell? So, any last minute questions? I'll be on for about 5 minutes and then I'm going to call it a night. And I'll take a deep breath and try to get this dryness out of my throat. And hopefully my internet's working because something seems weird. But oh well. What if I was talking for well, I know I got a comment just a few minutes ago. So I don't think I've been talking. What if I was talking for 40 minutes and there was no feed? That'd be funny. All right, I'm seeing the goodbyes. Okay. All right. Have a good evening, Kathy. Okay, and how to clean the baked on food on the lid. So I'm gonna put that back up there. I did talk about that earlier tonight. Something is not happening right with my computer. Something's weird. I'm trying to put that on there. Now, if the food is baked onto the coil, all you need to do is just close the lid and put it on broil for 10 minutes. And then let it cool down a little bit and then just wipe it off. It'll be fine. It'll burn off whatever it can burn off, and then you can just wipe it off. Inside, I use a brush. You could go back into the video probably about an hour ago. And I go over how I clean the lid. But basically, there's no secrets to it or anything like that. I love you too, John. Hope you feel better. Beth, I did answer the question about the sous vide, and I got the sous vide out. So I did, unless there was another one. If I didn't see that one, but I did answer the sous vide question. Let's see. What foods do you just bring to pressure only and then quick release? Zero cooking time. Angel hair pasta, really quick cooking foods. So angel hair pasta, like shrimp, would, if I was going to pressure cook it, I would do 0 minutes. If I was going to make a garlic butter, oh my gosh, I might have to do that. Like garlic butter and just pressure cook. Oh, that sounds so good. But I think my shrimp scampi, I do 0 minutes. So anything that's really quick cooking. So basically, if it's going to cook on the stove in less than 5 minutes, I would definitely just do 0 minutes. Let's see. Elise, I did not see any. Oh, I'm sorry. There goes my dogs. I did not see anything. Excuse me. I am still working. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, don't let that fool you. They did not listen to me. Okay. I don't know about a question about Callie. Stop it. I don't know about a question about New England clam chowder, but I do have a recipe for one. Okay. But if you have a specific question that I didn't get to, you can absolutely send me a message. No problem there. All right, guys. So I'm going to say goodnight, let my dogs out and all that kind of stuff. It's been fun. It's always fun. I enjoy you guys and I appreciate you guys so much. And I can't wait now for next Tuesday where we do Tasty Tuesday, where I'll be cooking and Jeff will be doing the comments and things like that. So that's always fun too. All right. Good night. And I'll see you soon.